Hey guys, welcome back to the Mx-5 5-cylinder build. It might not look like it yet, but today we're gonna get this engine in the car and get this car on its own power, driving out of this garage. Let's get to it. Last time you saw us take out the engine and make the brake lines. Thijs has also welded up the subframe, so that looks all nice and neat now. That's actually structurally rigid. And now we can actually put the engine in for the first drive. But first I have to reseal the oil pan. And I'm also gonna 3D scan it. It's not important, the resealing, so I'll just show you guys the scanning of the oil pan. Ik ga wel zo staan. Wat een beetje geweest. En dan is die kant. Ah. Oh yeah, baby. Oh, die gaat niet goed. Fucking kerel. Yep. That's the new fluid into the gearbox. Use one of these pumps where you can put your drill on, and that works quite good. These gearboxes actually have a lifetime oil, so no need to change it. That's what they say, at least, so they can sell you a new gearbox once it breaks. But they do have a fill and a drain port, which is perfect because we just changed the oil on that, and the oil that came out was actually pretty good still, so that's nice to see. The gearbox is now ready to go on the engine with the clutch and the flywheel, so I'll put the engine on the engine crane so I can get the flywheel on, because that's currently not possible, and torque that to spec. In the first start video you saw that we had some leaks coming from the front of the engine. What I did off camera is actually undo the whole oil pan. What I found out is that the front two O-rings weren't seating properly, even though I mounted the oil pan like this, perfectly perpendicular to the block like it was stock. The O-rings unfortunately didn't seat, so I welded on some more material and made it flush so that now the O-rings will actually seat up to the block correctly, and that it'll seal. So off camera I redid the oil pan and resealed it with Durco, which is high temp sealant, especially made for oil pans like this. So these flywheel bolts are actually 45 newton meters and then 60 degrees. So I've got the angle finder here, and you guys tell me when it's at 65 degrees actually. So oh, I really don't like doing this. 65. Ooh. So I actually ended up putting a breaker bar at the front of the engine with the giant 30mm nut on the what's it called, crank pulley nut. And this way I can actually do this alone, because the last 5 degrees are pretty hard to get. And I already did 2, now this one. So the first part is pretty easy. There we go, 65. That marked the rotation. This is my clutch setup. It's a Vallejo original Volvo 5-cylinder flywheel. It's a single mass converted one, which actually came with the engine, and it has the pressure plate also from the Volvo, as you can see. And in between those, because this is a 240mm clutch setup, I'm using this 240mm clutch disc that actually has the splines for the BMW gearbox. Is actually out of a different BMW, out of an X3, I think. Here's the part numbers. Because this is a single mass flywheel, I'm using a sprung clutch. Some of the clutches that come with these BMWs are actually unsprung, so I got the one that is sprung, and this should have some pretty nice driving characteristics. To install this clutch, I've actually 3D printed this little tool which slides over the pinion right there. I needed that pinion because it goes into the bearing inside of the shaft of the gearbox. So the clutch disc actually has Getriebsseite on it, which is gearbox side. Slide that on like that. And slide this on like this. The thickness of this clutch disc is actually about 1.5 mm more than the one that came off the Volvo that was in here, which was new. So to get the same amount of force like on the from the pressure plate, I'm actually spacing out the pressure plate from the flywheel using a washer in between the, like there, in between the pressure plate and the flywheel side. So this gives it some more space, so it actually disengages like it did with the Volvo disc, and also engages as it should with the same clamping force, because these are actually the same size as the difference in between clutch discs. So there you go, there you can see the spacing ring. So put that on. So half a turn, 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 and half a turn. Then repeat that until it's flush. And now comes something pretty cool to get the clutch tool out, because it's now a torque to spec. I'm using one of these, hammer, and I'm going to pull this out. And here it goes. That works perfectly. Okay, so I'm facing quite a hard decision. As you can see, this bell housing is the Volvo bell housing welded to the BMW flange. And I've welded all around the outside, but I have not welded the inside. I know this makes it a lot stronger, and I will do this eventually, but I don't know if this whole thing is going to work. So before I weld this, I'm going to put it in the car with the gearbox and drive it. Don't do any high load stuff, like no pulls and no hard driving, but I want to confirm that this works before I actually weld the inside, because I can still, if I cut it here now, I can still remain the perfectly flat surface, and work from there if I need a different gearbox or something totally different. So we can drive on this, but can't do any pulls or hard driving because I don't want to break these welds. Should be fine for now. We're going to take out the gearbox, maybe with the engine, don't know yet if just the gearbox or the whole engine setup. And we are going to weld this once we've confirmed that it works. So this is a hard decision I have to make, and I'm taking it cautious because this swap so far has cost a lot of time mostly, and I want to do it right and make sure this works, this concept, before I totally commit to it. So yeah, let's put the fork on now. So this is the fork, actually clean it a bit because it's still quite dirty, and a new pilot bearing which goes on like this. One thing I want to check is to see if there's not too much preload on this bearing when it's hitting the pressure plate, because that's how I mounted it when I was originally designing the gearbox adapter thing, and shouldn't have too much preload because I don't want to slip the clutch. One thing we can do to remedy that is to space out the clave cylinder more towards the back. That will make it so the end stop of this arm is further back and will actually have less preload, but we'll see once that's on the gearbox and the engine. There we go, that's the fork and the pusher. There we go. I also put the bottom bolts in, or the front bolts, however you want to orient the gearbox, with Loctite and some spring washers. So that's now also mounted, and this gearbox can go onto the engine. Woo! Why did I go for such a big gearbox? One of the things that you don't see often with engine swaps is the time that people take to make it all serviceable. Take for example the bell housing bolts. These are 14mm hexagon ones, but when I was mounting this all, I had some what are they called, internal hex ones, which are basically these in-bus. So these are the correct length for the ones on the side. So to get that all correct, I got my holy bible, I guess. I made a little template of the back of the gearbox, and they're all hexagon socket 17mm. So now it's all the same, and this makes it so much easier to actually go and take off the box when I actually need to do that in the car. Also painted them so they're a bright color and they stand out for when you're looking while your box isn't coming off and you see one more bolt. So all of these old ones, the 14mm ones, can go out. I didn't want a combination of different sockets and stuff, so should be a lot easier to take the box out later if that's ever needed. Now time to get the starter on. I just checked the preload on the slave cylinder, basically pulled it out and see if it's the same tension as squeezing it with my hand, putting it on. So it's pretty much perfect and I'm happy with that. So we're just gonna sand that and put the starter on right now. Ah shit, here we go again. That's the poly engine mounts as well in there. They are Shore 85, I believe, on both sides. They made it slightly harder to get the engine in because those mounts are actually 2 millimeters taller than the rubber ones. I think the rubber ones sagged over time. So this should be a bit more clearance to the sump as well. And hopefully the hood still shuts. We'll make sure later. But the engine's in, at least on the engine mounts. Now I've just got to do the gearbox mount on the bottom. With the gearbox also mounted, this is still on rubber blocks. I'm going to attach the shifter, which goes to the knob at the top of the gearbox. And I should be able to shift the gearbox now. And next up is to, before we connect anything else to the engine, it's actually to hook up this clutch line, bleed the clutch, and check if it disengages the clutch with the actual pedal. So it's basically building pressure, pushing the line, pushing the rod in, and disengaging the clutch, and then this is now in gear. We should be able to move this by hand when the clutch is pressed, and then it's back in gear just like this. It's locked, and I should be able to confirm that now, which is pretty cool. The gear shifter is now connected, as you can see, and now the next step is to hook up the clutch line. First self-bleed it, which basically means to fill the canister and keep pumping it until it back feeds basically into the line. And from there on we're gonna put it to the gearbox, to the slave cylinder, and should be working. Let's see if there's any leaks. I hope not, but we'll see. This should work. I'll pump the clutch now. See if this works. Oh! Basically shot at the firewall. Shit. Let me get some towels. Break. This is really nasty stuff, so need to clean it out as quick as possible. This will eat your paint and stuff. See if there's still enough in there. Fill it in a little bit. Ooh, that's way too much. Whoops. Let's see how far it's dropped. Pretty much nothing. So that's way too full. Whoops. Then it's next. Gonna tape up the end. So I really don't want that to leak all over everything. There we go. Put this down to the gearbox, and we'll bleed it from there. Ja, poppy! Piece of shit was leaking there. This is the slave cylinder from the BMW gearbox, and it has one of these, which is basically a damper which is inside. So when you push the clutch, or when you let it go actually, it limits the amount of flow. So I deleted that part inside, so it's like realistic, so you can actually clutch dump it and stuff. But it has this small O-ring in there, which is actually upside down. It's on this side, but the ends aren't the same, so I can't just put this part into the slave cylinder. I need the part in between, which is kind of a shame. And what ended up happening is because I think I deleted the part inside, now this has a gap in between. Should be like this, so it should be like that, but it has a gap of about a millimeter, and I think this is what seals it. So I'm gonna try to find an O-ring that actually fits inside this part and actually makes it seal better. Ja. Dus dit is neutraal. Kan ik met de hand draaien. Doe nu is ze 4. En dan, nu kan ik hem niet draaien. Koppeling in. En nu koppeling los. Doe nog eens koppeling in. So with the clutch working, it's time to put all the wiring on and the vacuum lines and all of the front stuff and get the engine running so that we can test the clutch and the actuation at the gearbox. I want to roll through all the gears and see if they all work, don't make any weird noises. And then we're gonna take off the exhaust back off and put the drive shaft in and put the exhaust back on, bleed the brakes, and we can go for a first drive. One more thing I noticed is that because I have this rubber ring in there now for the shifter, it's now hitting at the top, not being able to go into second gear now. So I'm gonna mark this out and hammer it in some so that ledge doesn't, or the edge doesn't exist anymore. But before I start it, I actually want to regain oil pressure because I've had everything apart and the oil system has been pretty much cleaned out and put back in. So I want to take out the coils and the spark plug so I can turn it with the starter without making compression, so it's less hard on the bearings. And I'll put them back once I've actually established that I have oil pressure, which in this engine took a while in the beginning, so hopefully that's better now with the oil filter location further like lower. So I'm gonna take these out now. Okay, so to make sure I don't have the injectors plugged in and also the coils not plugged in, which I can see injectors right here and coil right there, so this should be fine. I do have the cam and the crank and the drive-by-wire plugged in, but that shouldn't matter too much. I'll put this back where it belongs. There we go for now, and then put these aside. And we'll crank it and see if we've got oil pressure. Okay, so that's good. Time to also fill up the coolant system. I'll do that right now. Seventh liter. Yeah. I kind of expected it to start coming out and having to do that before 7th liter, but sure, we'll see. Oh, there it comes. Just this much. See, it's full. No leaks so far. So there you go, that's 6 liters and a small bit, and it'll probably have to cycle some, so I think that almost the 7th liter will fit, but we'll see when we get there. So the spark plugs are all out, the oil is up to its level and the coolant is in. I've actually hooked up the ECU and I'll see, actually have to upload my newest project file. So I cleaned up the file and it should be updated now. There we go. That's made permanent. And yeah, it's giving me one check engine light for oil pressure, but that's because there is no oil pressure at the moment. But the sensor is working, because if I look at the analog one, that's the pressure for the sensor for the oil pressure, it's 0.49 volts. Oh, and I just saw the wideband kick in, which means if I go to WBO, it says lambda is valid, yes. But that's not important for now. I just need the oil pressure. So set the logger to map and RPM at the top, and analog 1 voltage, which is the sensor voltage for the pressure, and the engine oil temperature. So yeah, nothing more to it than actually to crank it. I'm actually interested to see how it sounds with the poly mount, so we'll see that right now. So no pressure yet, maybe the slightest bit, but get it some more. Check it. Actually, I'll check the oil level. The level's still good, so let's try to make some more pressure. There we go. It made oil pressure. You could hear the oil actually building pressure. There you can see it made it to 3 bars, and if I do it again, it should go pretty fast. So that's oil pressure. Let's put the spark plugs back in and put the coils on, and it should fire right up. This for sure has to be my favorite part, honestly. Perfect. I mean, it just finishes everything off nice and perfect. That's insane. Do keep in mind that this front won't actually clear the hood, so I'm going to have to trim these 2 pieces, the stock ones, to make it fit better, which is going to be cool, because we're going to have exposed cam gears, but only when the hood is open, so shouldn't get any junk in there, so it should be good, and it's going to look sick. I mean, just look at that. That's sick. Now to get these bolts on for the strut base, and I should be done. When I was cranking it, I also did a quick trigger check, and that looks perfect. You can see where it's trying to fire and where it's injecting. I should actually move this over a bit because that's not realistic. There we go, at the end you can kind of tell. That's the crank, that's the cam, that's perfect. So one last check if I have all the oil in there, and I did see a tiny, you can kind of tell here, a tiny coolant leak, which is coming from the welded on piece of pipe on the radiator, but that's a problem for later. As long as it doesn't, as long as only a little bit, it should be fine. So yeah. Need to start it now. So I'll let the wideband sensor get up to temp, so it's accurate. Oh, my laptop needs charging, of course. So that's working too. Freaking sender, bruv. One more time. Just needed to prime the fuel system, I guess, or something. There it goes. Almost. I'm afraid I'm gonna have to give it some gas though. There it goes, just as easy as that. So next thing, what I immediately noticed, so that's probably because I threw some oil in the cylinders and it's been upside down, so don't worry about that. What I immediately noticed is that I got some vibrations on the gear stick, which is probably because the it's actually hitting. So I'm just gonna start it, and it should, you'll actually, because there's very low resistance, you should see the output shaft move, and I think it's actually hitting the shifting shaft. So we'll see if it does that, and what else we have to modify to make it clear. So I'm gonna start it. Here it goes. So yeah, you could see, I could also tell if I put it in third gear, it was actually hitting. So that means it's time to modify the shifter linkage, because it has a little lump going down. That's original, I haven't changed that, but the adapter ring that's there for the drive shaft actually hits it, because it's the same side, just it hits the dip. So I'm gonna take it out now and see how we can make it so it's slightly higher. Okay, so two things have happened. First, you might actually notice, because you just got from the previous footage, I turn it around. So this used to be 180 and then turned. So this was the higher part and this is the lower part. I thought that made sense, but apparently this is way better. The only thing I had to modify was actually, see this little thread from the screw that's coming from the top. I had to cut that out here so it wasn't hitting, and it basically clears way better than the previous setup. We'll just have to see how it does with the drive shaft in place, but I'm not too worried, else we'll just raise this and make this straight. So it should be easy to fix that later. And I think this is actually orientation that it had from stock, at because the thing in the back is also offset. So now that clears way better. And one more thing that I did is, what I noticed, these gearboxes have a first and then a reverse besides, like to the left, so it's 1, 2. You have to really put some force into that. But what I noticed is that I have this slip ring on here, so that the shifter can't move like this. So if I had that all the way down, I thought that I couldn't go to reverse because I was hitting the bottom of this pipe at the bottom, but that's not the case. So if I do this now, it's like press down. So if there's now play at the bottom. If I actually go to reverse, you can see that it comes out. See that? Because it's hitting right there at the left side. So I might need to make a little spacer or something to make it not hit there, and then I can get the play out and actually go into reverse. So that's pretty cool. So adjust the left side, so it doesn't support there anymore, which is fine because this half still supports it from going up and down, but just allows it to lever like that. Pull it all the way up. And tighten her down. That's sick. Yeah, that's perfect. So now you can see it doesn't have to, there isn't a gap here, which previously was the case, and now it's all the way down, so the play is gone. There's like minimal play. That's mostly the ball in the joint. But yeah, that's pretty much perfect. So that's reversed as well. Put the shifter on. And I'll put the interior kind of back. Like nothing ever happened. I just need to mark where this goes, so I don't get the orientation wrong. And I can keep my reverse gear. So, time to start it up and see if all of the gears function normally. And yeah, I'll go to 1 through 6 and you guys just tell me if it keeps speeding up. Gaaf. Holy shit. Freaking. Don't know why it's. Geen koppeling in. Ook 10 keer beter als je de map zo hebt. Mooi ineens. Wat?
Dat was take 1 toch?
Ja, dat was take 1. Voornamelijk ook zelf.
Nieuw.
Ja, wil ik gordel om gaan doen.
Ik ga de idle iets hoger zetten. Active state airflow. Misschien wel hoog. Ja.
Dat is niet erg wel hoger, dan valt hij in ieder geval niet uit.
Nee, dat.
Hij rijdt gewoon onder eigen kracht, Joris.
Steen. Mooi. Houdoe. Oh, dit is de crawler. Dit is
de crawler.
Oh.
keren, denk ik. Het gaat met de snelheid mee.
Tegen de uitlaat of niet?
Ja, tegen de steuntje van de, van het diff. Daar slingert hij net tegenaan.
Holy shit. Oh my god.
Je durft ook er niet in boost, hè?
Nee, want alles rammelt. Dat boost. Die tweede keer was boost, die andere was 70 man. De remmen zijn ook niet anders. Oh my god, het is net een orkest.
Zo?
What the hell? Tingelingelingeling. Zoals 1 bestelling vragen.
Mag niet afremmen op de motor.
Ik zal even naar land laten kijken.
Die kartanners.
Hoe kapot is het nu, denk je, daaronder?
Self-clearancing.
Echt wel.
Dat ik 1 keer in de
Ja, ja.
straat stoet moet doen.
Holy fuck. Ja, dat hoop ik. Dit is eigenlijk zijn 2, maar het is zijn 3. Het is zo raar.
Was het niet daar?
Nee.
Begin schuin. Hij gooit hem ook gewoon dwars.
Dat was niet eens opzettelijk.
Oh shit.
What the fuck? Ik ben al schijt.
Hoor je ook daarachter?
Wacht, ik ga Carla roepen. What the fuck? Oh, dus achteruit. Let op als ik me uitzet, hoe lang die doorgaat. What the fuck?
Achter de auto hoor je meer turbofluit dan uitlaat.
Oh, dat geloof ik meteen.
We hoorden echt 20 seconden voordat jullie hier waren.
Ja, dat was.
Holy shit. Okay, we have a small leak at the. You can see some oil on the subframe. That's from the dipstick not seating correctly. You can kind of see the O-ring right there. So that's puking out some oil, but and the fittings at the front might need to be checked. But so far, what the fuck?
Dat is echt niet normaal.
Dit is niet normaal. Kijk, die turbo begint blauw te worden van de verkleuring. Holy shit. So that's it, the boys have gone, and that was the first test drive. It was quite interesting because the drive shaft that we made, I kind of expected it to be not great, but it was kind of really shit. So the guys told me when they were laying underneath the car that it was swinging back and forth like 4 or 5 millimeters. So that made it hit all kinds of things, like mainly the exhaust and also the what was the dinging sound, and also the mount for the PPF brace that we made to the frame, so that the diff is like mounted properly. We were mounting that and we saw it was quite close, and those parts haven't actually been mounted together as like in one go, so we didn't expect that, but it was hitting. So now we're gonna have to figure something out with the drive shaft, but overall pretty successful. The engine ran pretty good. I have a log on the computer, and we actually hit, it's not important, I'll show you an overlay. It had, I basically hit half a bar of boost. I actually did sand it, but I wasn't planning on doing that. I ended up sanding it a bit harder than I expected, but it held up pretty good. And next up is fixing all of the issues, but that's a successful first drive. And I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time.